to be filled with action-packed, and so far we've seen a kudu, warthogs now, which is probably the highlight, an emerald-spotted wood dove, and some impala. So we are on a roll this morning. We better slow down before we see too many animals. So I'm just going to stop looking for them in general now. I'm just going to drive, and hopefully some will decide to pop in front of us. Or maybe the hyenas will be kind and allow us to spend an hour with them and watch those little ones all come out and play. I'd be quite happy with even that. Okay, we've just here at Vultures Dam now, so we're going to go through the little dip and then we'll park up on top of the dam wall and we'll scan. Maybe the family of white-faced whistling ducks are waiting here, the Egyptian geese, maybe blacksmith lapwings, possibly a bird with a beautiful call that will sing to us. No, none of those. I've just seen a heron though. We'll try and sneak up through there and hope that the heron doesn't fly away. They have a tendency to do that. Okay, now we've got to go very quietly and very slowly so I don't scare that bird. This could up the warthogs and be the highlight of my drive, so we want to make sure we have the best possible sighting. Wendy, quietly. Stop rumbling your engine so loudly. And watch, I'm going to drive over the loudest branches and things as well. The stones are going to spin, the tires are going to spin. Here it is. Where? No! It flew! Okay, let me show you very quickly this heron. Where are you going to land? Because it is quite beautiful and it is so still. It's the most amazing view. Some turtle doves flying through. That is the grey heron that I was talking about. But luckily for us, it hasn't flown too far, so we'll see if we can watch it fish. Maybe it catches something for us. Ali has got a better view of the elephants. I don't think she's too far away. Let's hope the gremlins don't get her this time.
Yes, sorry guys, we have been fighting the gremlins off. Hopefully now that I've shown them the lucky beans, they'll stay away from us and they'll let us enjoy the view of these elephants. I believe this is also a very well-known herd. Half-trunked elephant, I think that's what Craig said. And this is the one that's missing the tip of the trunk. She seems to be quite sleepy. It always amazes me how elephants is almost like they're walking and they're eating, but they're not quite there. I think everyone's still just a bit sleepy this morning. But they've been so peaceful and just graciously feeding all around us, and we're just very happy to have found them. There we go. You can see when she puts the trunk in her mouth that she's missing the fingers pretty much. Just proof of how resilient these animals are. She is missing a key component of one of her most important appendages, but look, she's doing just fine. I think that will never cease to amaze me how these creatures just push through anything that might be thrown their way and just manage to survive. I think now, maybe that's why, oh there we go, she's using the tusk to break those quarries. We are gonna carry on watching our beautiful Djuma elephants, but why don't we go across to Jamie and get to know some of the Mara elephants as well.
Well, we have this incredible sight in front of us. A herd of elephants walking across the open area, complete with all the little ones running along with them. And this has been one of my favorite things so far about being in the Mara, is the elephant sightings, because you can sit and watch them and you see them from far away. And often everywhere you look, you see a different herd of elephants. Look at the little one racing off ahead. Now, apparently, when the migration arrives, and they are already well on their way, as you may or may not have gathered from Brent's excitement yesterday, the migration is arriving, and apparently when they do, when the wildebeest and the zebra get here, apparently the elephants all disappear. They quite literally head for the hills. Apparently they go up into the mountains and the hills that are dotted around here. I suspect it's because it's just lots of stuff around them, lots of noise, and it is noisy. That constant meh, 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 meh. Now I imagine that after a while it gets a little bit tedious for the elephants with their sensitive hearing, and with them being constantly aware of what's going on around them. I think the movement, hey little one, what you doing? Trying to suckle. The one thing I've been thinking about being out here is that our prospects of actually watching a live birth are so greatly increased because you can actually view the animals from far enough away that they can feel comfortable with you being around them at that relatively sensitive time. And I have seen pregnant zebras everywhere, I've seen pregnant elephants everywhere, and they of course don't have a set breeding season. We're just going to move forward a little bit. This is the fun thing about there being two of us, which we couldn't do before. There's two of us, so I have to turn my back and trust Brent's driving, which at this point I guess I have to do. I do. And we can actually move while I'm talking to you and while I'm standing up here without poor Dave having to try and dismantle the camera and bring it into the vehicle itself. Here we go, we're going to get a nice view. We're actually on our way to lions. I don't know which lions. I've met the Ridge Pride, and I've seen 6 young males. And I think that's it. I have not yet met the Angama Pride. I've heard tales that there are 3 new cubs. Alice, are you still there? Have I got you? Yes, I have got you. Brilliant. I live in terror of losing communication. At the moment we're doing everything via Skype. Here we go. Aren't these vistas amazing? Now, Krista, you're wondering, from what I can hear, you're wondering about the foot structure of the elephant, which unfortunately, while they're wandering around in the long grass, is going to be very difficult for Dave to show you. But you're wondering about what the bottom of their feet are made of and how the process of their toenails and everything works. Elephants have amazing feet. They actually, technically, in a way, walk on their tiptoes, the way that their foot is structured. But below the bones, the way that the bones are sort of positioned almost on the toes themselves, sitting on the phalanges, they also sit on top of a sponge that helps to cushion. And if you watch an elephant as it steps, you can see their feet spreading as they walk to sort of distribute the weight evenly, and it actually makes them very, very quiet. And the skin of the elephant's foot is just like normal skin, but it's very, very tough and very thick. Whilst it is possible for something to become embedded in their feet, it hardly ever happens because the soles of their feet are tougher than Brent's, believe it or not. They are very solid and very, very thick. The toenails grow just like normal toenails. So they, just like your fingernails, they grow out of cuticles. They're obviously much thicker than ours. They are very, very solid, but they do have toenails. Sometimes 5 and sometimes 4. It depends on the elephant. They don't often lose them either, but they do grow continuously, and then obviously they will wear down as the elephant wanders along, and they use them for digging. What is that little elephant doing at the back there? About to pop out? Oh, you little one. There's another view of that one on the right there, Dave. Now, Jane, you want to know about the animals that migrated during the migration. So obviously, the movement of the elephants isn't really technically a migration because they're here all year round. They'll move where resources send them, but as I said, they'll move up into the mountains when the herd comes through. But the big migration, the main animals that are involved are the wildebeest, the zebra, and the Thompson's gazelle, with a few other animals that occasionally get caught up along the way, but it's essentially mostly wildebeest, and then next will come the numbers of zebra that come through, although the zebra walk ahead, and you probably will get about 400,000 odd zebra, possibly even more. I mean, ultimately the total migration can be over 2 million animals moving through in this direction. It really is an enormous number of animals. And the whole process is going to be fascinating to watch. Obviously, I've never been here to see a migration before, and it's going to be something completely different. You also get the local residents. This is what Brent was talking about yesterday. The local permanent residents. Some wildebeest stay behind. Some zebras stay behind. They don't migrate. But when the herds start to make their way across from Tanzania into Kenya, the wildebeest that have been here permanently come and join up with the rest of the herd. obviously males searching for mating opportunities, and it's amazing to see how excited they get. They go racing. I cannot wait to show you what the male wildebeest are like during this migration. It's utter chaos. I can understand, though, why the elephants, if you're a resident here, it might get a little tiresome. All of these creatures all over the place all of a sudden. Alright, I am going to head on. We've got to go racing across towards the lions. What I'll do for now is send you all the way back across to Djuma.
These impala have just started snorting and alarming, and there was also a squirrel shouting about. We're just in Philemon's dip. Who's here? What's wrong? What have you seen? Don't alarm at me because I'm not going to harm you. I'm just checking all around myself at the moment. I haven't seen any tracks of any predators around here, but I've also just moved into this area. I think there could be something in the drainage line. Let's go a little bit further forward. Let's go down to this dip. Now, they could just be overly cautious. I think there's a youngster in here standing and looking down. Let me see. You can see anything in this little drainage line. She's going to go further down. But the squirrel has also stopped alarming. Let's see. Let's scan down here and let's see if we can spot anything. I'm just going to be as quiet as possible, because if it is something in here with the impala snorting like that, it probably would have moved on. Now, Senzo, can you see that little crested francolin that's just moving into where the light is on the ground? There's that one patch of light. There it is. Now, that crested francolin is not alarming at all. It's actually quite relaxed. So I wonder if the impala just something gave them a little fright and then they were alarming for just in case. But there it is. Okay, let's go up a bit higher. We won't go down Ingwe Alley, that road where the impalas are on, because they're looking down into the drainage. So I suspect that if it is something, it would have moved away from where they were alarming, so it might have come up here. Let's hop up and just check. Now, because the vegetation is so thick and dense, you've got to take it easy. You've got to make sure that you triple, quadruple checking. No. See, there's just some impala. Just moving through. There's a couple running down the drainage and coming this side too. But again, they're not alarming. Oh, no, they've started alarming again. Okay, change your plan. The squirrels are now alarming. No, further away. Let's actually go down Ingwe Alley. We'll have to push through that other herd of impala just to get ahead, so we can get to where that next squirrel has started alarming. Whee! Over the bumps, back down through Philemon's dip. Let's go! Let's find us an animal. I don't know what it could be. Yesterday, I was actually speaking to Rexon, and Taxon was saying that he said he thought he saw a young leopard in camp around Vultures, so I wonder who's been there. Impala, what have you seen? Let me check the ground for tracks as well. Just lots of your footprints. See, it's a massive herd. And they were all shouting, but then there were also impala on the other side. And it wasn't the males chasing each other around, I can tell you that right now, because it was a group of youngsters. Excuse me, pardon me coming through. Can you point me in the direction of the animal that you're shouting at? No? Okay, I'll just go find it by myself then without your help. Well, they helped a little bit. I suppose they were shouting. So let's check here and then we will go to the hyena den. Now, there isn't really much water on here. I haven't driven through here in quite some time, but the mud wallows, even before I went on leave, looked like they were drying out quite a bit. So we'll just go around the bend a little bit and then we'll stop and we'll switch off and listen again. Let's see if we can hear anybody alarming. There was a brown-hooded kingfisher shouting. what noise? Do you hear that, Senzo? It's a particularly strange noise. I do not even know how to describe it, like a wildebeest with a sore throat. Making a strange sound in here. I'm really tempted to actually just go in on foot and have a walk around here. But the impala have settled. I'm just checking to see if I can see what's making that bizarre sound. Let's try again. It's all a bit confusing here. I think I'm going to get out the car and walk through this drainage line and see if I can spot anything. I'm going to send you back across to Ellie while I go walking about.
Good luck, Taylor, with your walkabout. That is always something about the bush that will confuse you and you won't know what's happening. But for now, luckily we know what's happening with these elephants. They are having a very nice, slow breakfast this morning. So this is the older one. We just saw him. He was busy pushing the other one around, like literally just got his little nose and then just started pushing him forward. I don't know if it was because he wanted to eat the particular branch that he was on, but there comes the mother. She's just been busy trying to pull down the tree almost. She's been feeding on the top branches, probably just because she's taller than these two little naughty boys. And there we go, just hiding behind the trees again. I think we've heard more trees branching and cracking not too far from here, so I wonder if the rest of the herd is not ahead. We did see a few more when we first arrived, but I think they're all spread out, and as you can see is somewhat thick around here. I think the youngsters are going to a bit of the bend in the road, so I'm just going to go forward and go around, see if perhaps we can see them again. They're steadily going in this direction. Oh, I see one on the road already. Hey, who do you think you're dealing with? You see, typical boy, he just turned around and moved his trunk and opened his ears and he was like, ah, here I am. But really? Oh, you're actually a girl. Sorry, girl, maybe you got upset because I was calling you a boy? I apologize. You see, it's doing a very sneaky thing that elephants do. So she's standing there and she is completely aware of the fact that we're here and she can hear us. You see the ears are quite attentive. And every now and again, the trunk, she'll point it back at us just to smell us. But all the while, pretending that that's not really what she's doing. Isn't that the sweetest thing? The two of them walking down together like a pair of friends. So I can imagine just two little children walking down a road. Moving very slowly and taking it easy. I think this is a wonderful screenshot. Very sweet, guys. Very sweet. I wonder, because this is not the little one that was there. So I wonder if we bumped into another herd member. Cody, you'd like to know if there's any difference between the dark elephants and the light-colored elephants? No, not really. Normally what will happen is that they'll just put some dust or dirt on them. So if one of them is lighter or darker, it probably just means that one of them has put more mud and the other one maybe more dry soil on top of them. But they are all the same color. So there's really not much of a difference. And if you were looking at the Mara elephants, sometimes they appear to have more of a reddish color depending on some of the areas that they're in, or you know, they appear to be darker, and it's just because the color of the soil. So they'll use the soil and they'll put it on their, or the mud on their backs just to protect their skin from the sun, or when they're feeling very hot they'll go into the water. So it would seem that their skin changes color, but they're all pretty much the same color. Hello. Just gonna come around here. Oh, here's the youngster. So we had indeed bumped into another one. I'm sure the rest of the herd is somewhere around here, all feeding around us. Hello, little one. He seems to be still quite shy. He's very gentle in the way that he's maneuvering his trunk around the grasses and the thorns. Very, very, very slowly. We're gonna carry on spending some time around here, see if perhaps we can find the rest of the herd. But let's go over to Jamie in the Mara that has found elephants with the company of a big predator.
Look at this absolutely amazing scene in front of us. Where else in the world can you see something like this? A lion and an elephant so close together. So this is my first meeting with one of the Ngama lionesses. Well, we think it's an Ngama lioness. I assume it is in this particular area. I have not yet encountered them before. Apparently, there are 3 brand new members of this particular pride that, as far as we know, there's a little bit of confusion and there's a little bit of speculation, but as far as we know, there's 4 adult females in this pride, 7 cubs, and now 3 new ones. And this could well be the mother, because apparently we're not far away. And I keep saying apparently because I've only been here for a couple of days. I'm still learning my way around. But apparently we are not far at all from where those cubs were actually seen. And they're very, very tiny at the moment and denning off in one of the drainage lines, which is called a laga. A laga. Mm-hmm. There we go. I'm getting there. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this particular pride. They're closest to our camp and the area that we drive around in and get, for now, reliable signal. That will change as things go on, and we'll be able to get signal throughout the area that we traverse. But I think we're going to be spending a lot of time with the Ngama ladies. Hey, gorgeous. She is beautiful. Yesterday I had my first encounter with the Ridge Pride that were feeding on an eland that they had caught and killed. Ooh, this bull's getting closer. They seem to be relatively comfortable in each other's presence. Everything's so open here that there's no real need to stress. He knows she's there. She knows he's there. She's just keeping an eye on him, just in case he decides to come and chase her. He doesn't seem to have that on his mind, though. And of course she knows that she is faster and far more agile than he is. Oh, but that is an incredible shot, Dave. Two iconic animals right up next to each other. Now she's looking at him. Hey, big boy. Oh, getting closer. He's probably, it's a little bit deceptive because of the way that she's sitting on a sort of a ridge or a small termite mound. In that, I think that they're probably about at least 30 meters apart. So they're further apart than they look. It looks at the moment like he's actually towering over her when I look at what you're seeing. But she's probably a little bit further away than she appears to be. Stunning. And good morning to Violet. Violet, you would like to know if these two animals are typically aggressive towards each other. I would say most encounters are relatively peaceful, provided that there's plenty of space between the two of them. They know each other of old. There are species that two species that have evolved side by side. Lions can and do hunt elephants in certain areas, especially if they are really particularly struggling to find food, or if there's big lion prides. And elephants often chase lions. We've seen that often on Djuma, particularly with lions on a kill. If an elephant herd comes through, they tend to chase the lions away, the lions run off, and then they come back as soon as the elephants have moved away. Elephants don't particularly like predators. It doesn't have to be lions. It can be leopards. I personally have never seen an elephant chase a cheetah, but I'm sure it happens. Just as they will chase wild dogs and hyena and anything like that. So it's not that they're aggressive towards each other, really. They just don't enjoy each other's company, particularly. And Kim, I think that that particular question leads on quite nicely. In my opinion, the king of the bush is most definitely an elephant. And they're just the biggest things out here, particularly a big bull elephant. They are, once they've reached a certain age, they really are too massive for anything to challenge them, both in terms of vehicles on the road and lions. I would say that hands down, that title goes to the elephant. That whole king of the jungle thing doesn't really apply out here. But it does provide us with some amazing, amazing images. It gives you a sense of scale as well. This place is so absolutely vast. Anthony, you want to know if there's any differences between the lions of South Africa and the lions of Kenya. Can I get back to you on that? I mean, yes, there will be small biological differences in terms of genetics, but nothing major in terms of their physical appearance. You might find that the development of their manes is slightly different, the ages at which they develop their manes. But what will be different is their social behavior, or at least their interactions with each other. And it'll be interesting to see exactly how that dynamic plays out. There are all kinds of differences. Oh, sorry, Dave, I was about to go back to talking about the lioness and the differences, sorry. There's all sorts of differences just in terms of what they have to deal with out here. So their hunting strategy might be quite different. Their way that they have to approach the whole migration is also different. The migration is a time of plenty for them. Food just arrives basically at their doorstep, and they don't really have to move much. Then in the season when the wildebeest leave and the place goes back to being slightly quieter, then they have to work slightly harder. So there will absolutely be differences. Hey girl, you got little ones somewhere. Wouldn't you like to show us? It would be very nice of you if you did. Oh well, we'll see them. We'll see them at some point. Look at that. Oh, and we've got a third species. Actually, we've got a fourth species as well. Dave, if we have a look over there, we've got 2 approaching buffalo bulls and 1 warthog. Everything seems massive here. I can't quite decide if that's because of the space or the food abundance, but everything seems to be double the size not quite double the size, that is a massive exaggeration. It just seems to be a little bit bigger. These buffalo bulls are dotted around everywhere here, and the grass is so long at the moment that I would absolutely not want to walk around here, because all of a sudden you drive past and a buffalo bull pops up right next to the road, but right next to you, and you'd have absolutely no idea he was there unless he sticks his head up. And there you can see there's a yellow-billed oxpecker sitting on his back, the more common species here. And there we go. We've seen 3 of the typically iconic Big 5, if we can use a very outdated term, and 1 warthog. Kim, talking about predators, iconic predators, you want to know if there's any wild dogs in the Mara. Very, very few, apparently. One of the big things that has happened with it's a problem that we share in South Africa, but especially here, is wild dogs interacting with domestic dogs. Now, there's a very different approach here in Kenya, and it's just a different approach. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just a very different approach, and it has to be, because this is a completely separate country with different political issues. But there are no fences around these reserves, which means that wild dogs, of course, could potentially even more easily than in South Africa. They can come into contact with domestic dogs that spread diseases like rabies and distemper, and there's very few wild dogs running around. Apparently they are seen occasionally, but I think not very frequently. But imagine a pack of wild dogs hunting on these open areas. We're going to see lions hunting, we're going to see cheetah hunting. Brent's already seen all of those things. It is going to be spectacular when it happens. I'm still trying to show you the banded mongoose though. That's next on my list of things I want to show you. They're everywhere. Something you don't see on Djuma. We never manage to get them on camera because they just run away. They've been running around this lioness all morning, but now I can't see them anymore. They've disappeared. Gone off foraging. Alright, oh, the lioness is up. Where are you going, girl? Hold on a minute. I wonder if she's not going to take us round. Apparently there is a road on the other side. I think what we're going to do is we're going to race to catch up with that lioness, but what we'll do for now is we'll send you all the way back to Djuma to Ali to see if she's had any luck.
I'm almost Ali, but not quite. Right, let's have a look here. I'm confused now. I've got male lion tracks, but I can't remember seeing them here earlier. And they look like they're over the top of my tire tracks, which is a bit cheeky. Check this out over here. Look at this footprint. Big, as wide as what it is long, so that tells us that it is a male. Otherwise, it's an exceptionally large lioness, but it isn't, it's the boy. And it's over my tracks. So now I'm confused because we've driven around here so many times this morning and we just seem to keep missing them. So I'm going to try and figure out where these tracks go. We are here on pangolin track at the moment. I don't know what's going on with these animals anymore. They need to start behaving. Let's have a look and see. I drove here earlier and they're definitely over the vehicle tracks. There could have been other cars that have driven here too. So I just want to see if I can pick up a few more tracks going down this way. Here they are still. Very faint. So now let's try and figure out where on earth they go. But it's just triple and quadruple check here. Also some very fresh elephant tracks. My goodness, it's all been happening and we just obviously keep missing everyone. Now there's a herd of impala just up in front and they don't seem to be reacting at the moment. Now I think it's a big mistake that people make when coming into the bush and they go, there's antelope, there's no predators here. Don't ever say that, in my opinion, because that's what the idea of camouflage with animals is, to try and stalk up to them without them even noticing. So just because the impala aren't reacting, it doesn't mean that there isn't anything around. Hello boys, it's a beautiful big bachelor herd that we've got here. Just quickly checking because we have seen the Birminghams around here lots. It's always good to just check. Okay, Ali's also tracking something. Let's have a look at these impala. Now I can't see any more tracks, but I just want to check in spots perhaps where maybe vehicles haven't driven. Some hyena tracks, not what we're looking for. I will just check up here and then we'll go back down into the Mulwati. Hello gentlemen. Is this where you're hanging around today? There used to be lots of water here at Spaghetti Junction, but it is all dried up since. You can see just this little wallow over here. There's not much in it. And there might be a little bit of mud. Maybe if a buffalo, it looks like a buffalo or something, was sitting in there at one point, they would be able to enjoy that. But unfortunately, nothing that the impala can use. They don't cover themselves in mud. And to keep cool or to get rid of any of the parasites. Boys, did you see a lion come through here earlier, perhaps? Nope. Okay, so maybe it was much earlier this morning that this cat had walked through here. It's quite interesting, in fact. Okay, let's keep searching. You let me know. You snort and you alarm, not like the other impala that we had earlier that were lying about whatever they'd seen. Oh, by the way, I did go off on foot and I walked that entire drainage system very quickly. I didn't see anything at all. They then started alarming at me. So I don't know, maybe they thought that they'd saw something moving through the drainage very quickly, and it's possible that they did see something. But I didn't see any evidence of a cat down there. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just poke our nose down in the Mulwati, and if we don't have any tracks there, then maybe I'll keep going back down Twin Dams again and trying that side. A little couple of flies. Is this a lion track? No, it doesn't look like there was a lion that came walking through here. Hang on, there's a big track here. That looks like from maybe a hyena. Very suspicious indeed. I know there was a Birmingham that was that he was lying here in the Mulwati, and we didn't even know that he was in here. Okay, we're gonna go back. I think let's quickly do a little bit more of Twin Dams, and then maybe we'll go down from Twin Dams from Gowrie Main into the Mulwati and drive all the way up the side. Did I tell you that I went back to the hyena den and it was empty? I think I did. There was sadly nothing there again. I told you I don't have much luck with the hyenas and catching those little ones out. It's just in the Kruger National Park that I'm able to, for some bizarre reason, find all the hyenas with all the cubs. Let's check here. Now, it's not a particularly hot day. I thought it was actually going to warm up quite a bit, but the wind is now picked up. I wonder if these clouds aren't the start of a cold front that's maybe moving in. We'll see what it's like this afternoon, if they're going to all burn away. Because typically at this time we've had to take our jackets off because it's already got quite hot. But maybe it isn't going to be too warm. That means we'll all have to snuggle up today. Oh, a little steenbok. Don't run. Look through here, just look here. Hello, boy. Ah, and gone. Racing behind us. Right, that was a male steenbok that was just standing very, very still. You've got to be so quick with them, otherwise you literally blink and you miss them. But no more male lion tracks coming through here. Now, Mike, you're wondering what accent is the South African English accent most commonly mistaken for? We get a lot of, are you Australian? That's a good one. And then also from the UK, I suppose. So British and Australian, most people think those are the areas that we're from. But of course we sound absolutely nothing like the British or the Australians. Our accent is interesting. It's a strange one, and you don't, obviously we don't notice it because everybody sounds like us. However, when I'm around my family, and especially when my mom's around, I can hear the difference slightly. My mom's got the most amazing accent. I'm actually quite jealous because it's something between a South African accent and an Australian accent, so it's not quite harsh. It's really, really pleasant to listen to. My dad's one, I don't know. My dad's accent's not too bad either, but they've been living in South Africa for over 20 years now. But they still have it. Here are those male lion tracks again. They're going to be hard to see. I'm just parked too close. I don't know. Maybe you can see the ones going down this way. Let me jump out again. Sorry, these ones are too close for you to see the car. The camera won't get them. No, these are hyena tracks now, these ones. So I don't actually know what's gone on here. I'm actually quite stumped this morning, because the tracks we had before were quite fresh. I think it's too close to the ground, but there's some lion tracks over here. They don't look as fresh. You'll just have to trust me. And then there's some more hyena tracks that I saw also going along the way. And it isn't uncommon to see lion tracks and hyena tracks together, or leopard tracks and hyena tracks, because the hyenas are known for following the larger predators around in hope that if they do make a kill, or if they're going towards a kill, they can sneak a mouthful or even just take the entire carcass from them. I suppose it depends on how many lions are at that site versus how many hyena. But not what we're looking for. We'd prefer to find the actual animal than keep seeing footprints all the time. Okay, over these little bumps. Yeah, I think we're going to drive the entire Mulwati, because it was just those two sets, so I don't know where he's come from. He definitely came back out of the drainage line, so it could just be zigzagging, most likely on a territorial patrol of some sort. Whee, around the corner. That's where the hyena tracks carry on going that way. Now, let me just check there. Malik, you're wondering what is the time in Africa at the moment? Well, in South Africa, it's 20 to 9 in the morning, so 8:40. So it's still relatively early. Can you believe it that we've all been up for a few hours already? We have the most interesting days, I find. We sort of, and we're actually talking about it the other day, we sort of have, it's like 2 days in one, because you wake up early, you go to work, and then you finish work and you have breakfast, and then you carry on with your things. Sometimes if you're lucky you can sneak in a siesta, and then you start work again, and then you go to bed. It's the weirdest thing though, like having the break during the day. When I say break, obviously not being out on safari. It feels like it's the end and then you start all over again. No, there isn't anything here. Now, early this morning, I came straight down here and I didn't see any lion tracks crossing on Gowrie Main, sort of west of the Mulwati. Maybe we're going to have to go through the Mulwati too to check. This lion could have possibly crossed the drainage line and gone towards Leadwood and then maybe towards Chitwa. But as we would say in Xhosa, Andiaz, I don't know. Oh my goodness. So there's some guests having a tea and coffee stop. I'm not going to go and disturb them. Ali's been on a walkabout searching for what? I'm not so sure. Let's go and find out.
Well, we are not too sure what we were looking for either, but this termite mound or this den looking thing caught our eye, so we just thought we would get out of the vehicle and go and investigate. Obviously we didn't want to go up that main path that you can see, just in case there was a warthog or anything living in there, and we would have been just right in the danger path. So we had to go around just looking, checking for tracks. We didn't find any tracks for any mammals. A lot of antelope tracks, mammals are antelopes are mammals. And lots of bird tracks, but it doesn't seem, once we got in there, it doesn't seem like it's been active recently. Lots of grass, and it just doesn't look as tidy in the inside as if something's been in there. But it's a good spot to try and check later on, so we'll definitely keep it in mind during the nighttime, because there's a number of things that could have gone in there. So warthogs could have been living in there, then we would have porcupines that could be living in there, we could have aardvarks living in there. So that is secretly what I was hoping for, because we actually drove past and I was like, oh, that looks like a wonderful den for wild dogs. So here's to hoping, maybe we should actually fill it up with lucky beans, see if maybe we get wild dogs to go and den in there. That would be pretty awesome. But no, we couldn't see any real tracks around it, but I just want to come back maybe later on during the night or in the next few days, see if our bumbles reach this way, just to see, because it's always interesting. A lot of the times all of these night creatures, they will have different areas or different dens, termite mounds, burrows, whatever you want to call them, that they'll go back in. So they'll almost like rotate. They'll go into this one for a little while and then onto the next one and then onto the next one and then onto the next one. So now that it's starting to become darker earlier, then I'd like to maybe come and check, because whatever it is that could have made that, or that has been living in there and making use of it, is currently not there. And it was quite funny. You should have seen me and Craig just standing there like trying to look inside when we couldn't find any tracks, just like, if there's a warthog, please don't come running. Because that would have given us a fright. But no, it doesn't seem to be active at the moment. It has been active recently. Also, the elephants are not too far, so we didn't want to stay there for too long. Tim, termite mounds, fascinating. I completely agree with you. And it's amazing just how many different animals use them as homes. And even when they're not active anymore, then they just, work for shelter for so many more creatures. I'm sure everyone's quite thankful for the termites there and their hard work, especially warthogs and aardvarks and porcupines that we haven't been able to see. So I'm hoping for a porcupine tonight, actually, or maybe now too. I wouldn't complain if we managed to see a little pretty porky right now. I think this road has been quite lucky. I haven't driven on this road before, and I think this might be my new favorite one. It's very nice, lots of big trees, lots of like hidden little secrets here and there. Always fascinating, isn't it? But right, I want to see what else is around here. We did manage to find lots and lots of impala, so I wonder if this is where they've been hiding, because it's nice and warm in the mornings. But not too many birds, lots of hornbills and lots of elephant dung on the road. So I wonder if this is the main highway that they've been using recently, and that's why I haven't been able to find them. I just haven't been looking for them in the right places. As you would think that they'd go to one of the bigger dams around this area, which is Buffelshoek Dam, but there are other dams around. So I wonder if they prefer those ones. You see, again, we've got another branch on the road. So Ellies have been here, I think maybe a few days ago. Beautiful. What's around these trees? Still looking quite green up here. I mean, we've been driving around some other areas and a lot of the trees are looking a lot more yellow. So I wonder, maybe they've had a bit more rain up here. Sometimes it does happen inside of our reserves that a particular area tends to get a bit more water than the rest. I know when it starts raining, a quarantine was very green, very sudden, and it lasted for quite a while, and maybe other areas got drained later and that's why they're not looking as yellow. But I think as we start going down and moving away from old riverbeds and drainage lines, and that's where it's going to start getting more wintry like. We were talking yesterday about the weeping wattle. So this is how some of the leaves are going to start looking as they start getting dry. You see they also turn into a bit of a yellowy color, some of them, but it won't be as dramatic as some of the other trees that we have in the area. I think maybe this one's just even been slightly burnt by either lack of water or too much sunshine. It does happen to trees sometimes. I'm sure if you've got any pots or plants at home, then you'll see that if some of them, if you put them in the sun, then they'll die quite quickly. Unfortunately, as much as I love trees, I am a complete disaster at trying to grow them. I have tried so many times and I just don't have the green fingers. Everything I try to plant will, eventually die, which is, not too bad. I have a little tiny baobab seed that I managed to germinate, so I'm hoping this will grow eventually. It's like my little baby that's there. But I don't know. I'll let you guys know how that works out, because I had another one and then it was just before I moved to the UK. Also managed to germinate that one, but then it got lost. We don't know where it ended up going to, so I'm sure it didn't have the best of luck. But I don't know, I have more hope for this one. So I think I'm just meant to enjoy the trees in their natural environment and not try to plant them, because I'm not great at that. And everyone in my family laughs about it. I got given some cacti once and I managed to drown them. I don't know how that even happened. Apparently, they can die of too much water. Oh, drungos having breakfast. Just over there on the branch of the tree. Hello, we've got two, and both of them were on the higher branches, but then the one dove down. Hello. Where are you going? And we've got an oriole. This is going to be a tough one to see, so if you go up a bit more towards this tree at the back. Bright yellow flying away. We'll see if we manage to catch the oriole again, but let's go over to McCurdy, who's managed to find a hurdy.
Nicely done, Ali. I'm so happy, you have no idea. I literally thought it was going to be one of the quietest safaris that I've ever had in my entire life, but that has changed, because driving in the Mulwati on this beautiful white sand where the elephants move very quietly and I couldn't hear them from Twin Dams, they're here drinking water out of holes which they have dug with a combination of their feet and their tusks and their trunks, and using all of those things. And it is so cool. And there's a tiniest little one who's actually quite curious, and I'm hoping you come right over to come and say hello, little one. Isn't it so sweet? But it is standing nice and close to its older sibling, just making sure that it doesn't get, of course, it won't get too scared when big brother or sister is standing there. I think big brother. Hello, little one. Are you a little boy too? Are you a little boy? Maybe a little boy. No, it's a little girl, I think. Is it? I can't see from here. Turn your bottom. You're going to steal your sibling's water, are you? Oh, it's a bit difficult to tell. I suspect at this age it's always tough. If it turns around, it'll be quite nice. And because, unfortunately, it is not a big, strong elephant, if it was a little boy, you will be able to tell a bit easier. It is a little boy. Are you? Yes, you are. You've got very small little boy bits still, but you'll grow into them, don't worry. And he's so cute. Aren't you so sweet? Look, he's actually got quite a round head too. It's not particularly angled either. But again, it's quite easy when you have a herd like this standing together to missex an animal. But that's okay. Now we've got a cow coming towards us. You can see just on the right. I am watching her. She hasn't shown any signs that she's upset with us, but we keep an eye on her. Now, Evie, you're wondering if those little elephants would ever fall into those small elephant holes. Oh, I'm sure all the time. Look at this one's going head first. And that's just because, of course, he's a little one and he's struggling to put his trunk all the way in. Now, the reason why I'm going to watch this cow is because we're in the thick sand and you can't get away very quickly from elephants. So I'm just going to make sure that she doesn't bother us too much while our little friend sticks his entire body down that hole. Be careful, you're going to end up coming outside and seeing yourself in China if you go all the way down that hole. And they dig these holes really, really deep too. Oh my goodness. I think we might be lucky and have an elephant's dust bathing too, which will be quite nice. Because this cow, she's digging something. Whether she's looking for, are you looking for roots of that lovely tall grass that's growing there? Maybe that's also what she's doing. Look how she uses her feet as a tool. Scooping, pushing it forward and then scooping it back out with the heel of the foot. See, it works very well as a spade. And they can dig holes, excuse me, that's badly behaved. It sounds like a young calf. Don't worry, we're not in any danger. It sounds like a young calf that wanted to suckle or perhaps even try and drink from one of those elephant holes and somebody saying, no, it's mine. Are you digging for water? Is that what you're doing? So there's so many holes along here. You can ask Senzo. As we're driving around, it feels as like we're driving a sand boat. Ha ha ha. Senzo gave me that idea. And we were falling into all the elephant holes as we moved along. You got some water. Oh, she is. She's actually dug for some water. Well, there were about 3 other holes that were just here. So I wonder why she didn't choose those. And that little one at the back is quite hopeless still. It's not really contributing to digging any of the holes. Maybe that's why this cow has had to dig another one, because it keeps falling in them and filling the holes up with gunk and mud. And elephants love and prefer to drink clean water. So we will be starting to see them more and more frequently in the drainage lines, just because the water in all the dams are not being filled up. Most of the pans are naturally filled, so there's no new water going in there to keep it nice and fresh, whereas underneath the ground is lovely. You're not doing a good job. I think that little one is still learning too. It needs to copy this cow, because you can see every now and then she squirts out sort of muddy water, and you've got to be quick too. So you've got to squirt it out, all the stuff that's filled with sand, like that, get rid of it, and then as soon as the new upwellings of water push through the soil, then you drink that stuff. But our friend the little elephant is drinking more sand than anything. Don't have too much of that. That's not good for you. Yeah, you see that? Getting rid of all the stuff that's not great. This is really nice. Now, Tim, you're wondering, how do these elephants know where to dig for water? Hey, be careful, girl. You're going to spray us. Although, actually, I wouldn't mind if you sprayed me with mud. Tim, they can sense it underneath the ground. And so, coming through here into these drainage lines too, I suppose it's also a taught thing. The older, more experienced elephants remember where the water table is typically high, and then they'll come through and dig here. But this stretch of the Mulwadi is, like I said, it's like landmines all the time. You've just got to watch where you drive, otherwise you sink into a elephant sort of well that's well over 1 meter deep, so well over 3 foot deep, and you don't want to get yourself stuck in one of those. She's getting to some good water though now. Look at that. She's got down, it's coming up and pushing through a lot quicker. Almost ready to drink, are we, young lady? That's looking a lot cleaner. Yes, shake that trunk. See, she's pushing. She keeps edging that little calf with her one leg. She says, "You just stay back. I'm not ready yet. The water is not as good as it's going to get. Just wait. You're going to push all the sand in and ruin my hard work." But this is so cool. We are so close to these elephants. We're probably only about 10 foot away from them. Hi, girl. You're putting on a great show, aren't you? And we are lucky. We're so lucky to be able to see things like this on a regular basis. There we go. You see how she reprimanded the small calf? She pushed it with her foot, saying, just wait, be patient. Do what Taylor's doing and just learn patience. See there, saying, go away, go back over there, it's not ready. And then, of course, that little scream that you heard is just that elephant expressing how unhappy it is with mom. So not anything that we need to worry about, of course. Very cool that she's allowing us to sit in this area. She did approach us, of course. We gave them space, and she was quite happy to come right up to us. And she wouldn't be digging this hole if she thought that we were a threat to her and her offspring. Yeah, we're just enjoying this, though. Senzo, finally, some animals, eh? Sure. It took us a while. It took us most of the morning. Finally, the first drink. Is that delicious? Is that what you've been waiting for? Little elephant, you don't really know what you're doing with your feet and your trunk, do you? Look at it. Look at that little one. It's so funny. Now, little one wants to come in and get. She's saying, go away. No, I'm thirsty first. She's determined not to let that little one in just yet, so I think we're going to hear another cry, a little trumpet coming from that young calf. Now, Cody, you're wondering what would happen if they had too much sand in their diet. Well, if they were sort of feeding on plant vegetation, the sand would actually wear their teeth down a whole lot quicker, so that's not good, because elephants don't have, too many sets of teeth. They've got about 6 sets of teeth. Or 6 sets of molars, for most of their life, which come through at various stages, depending on when their teeth have worn down. I remember we always used to get nervous of the horses eating too much sand because we thought that it would help, well, not help, but it would induce colic. But I don't know if that's a bit of a wives' tale. So I'm sure they're used to feeding on bits of soil. Sometimes animals actually eat bits of soil, and it's called geophagy, to get certain nutrients into their diet of the vegetation that they're feeding on lacks it. But I'm sure that their digestive system sort of counteracts all the sand that they do feast on, and all the dust. As long as they're not eating, bucketfuls and bucketfuls every single day, they should be all right. They should be okay. It is normal to have a little bit of it in their diet. I mean, even as they are drinking the cleaner water, they'll still be getting a little bit. Like the elephant that we're watching now is very inexperienced, and from what I can see is actually, look at its mouth. Look how sandy. Let's go up to that one that's just showing. There we go. Look at how, when it does that again, you'll see that it's just got sand all around its mouth and on its tusks, so it's not doing a very good job. And that's probably why that younger calf, the little one that's probably only about 6 months old, keeps going to mom to get the good stuff. Lovely. Now here's a question, and this is one that is debated almost on a daily basis about all the guides, and the question is from Mike, and you were wondering how many muscles in an elephant's trunk. Well, Mike, I've read about 4 different books that have got different answers as to how many muscles are actually in an elephant's trunk. I've heard 30,000, I've heard 60,000 muscles in an elephant's trunk, 10,000 large muscles and 50,000 small muscles. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's somewhere around about 30,000 or so, something around that. I'm telling you right now, though, that there is a whole lot more, and that's why it's one of the funniest things to watch little elephants, is how to use their trunks, and why it takes up to a year before they can have decent control over those big flappy things that hang off the edge of their face. And this little one is still learning. It's not doing too badly, though. You can see it is able to, of course, pick up water or suck up water, hold it, and then still squirt it back in its mouth. So that's why I think it must be around 6 months if it's able to do that already. Because if you watch a tiny new elephant, you'll see that they normally just dulge their whole faces into the water and suck it up with their lips, because they find it a lot easier than trying to control all those muscles. And it must be tiring for these little ones, walking about trying to keep up with the herds, and then of course practicing trying to pull individual pieces of grass. I think their trunks must get quite tired in the first few years of their life. But then, of course, as they get older, it's just a second nature. Just as you and I use our arms all the time for daily tasks, we don't really get stiff, if you just do your normal work. And I wonder if it's the same with elephants. If they do things that they don't normally do on a regular basis, if they'll get stiffness in their trunks too. And I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's... Let me get all that out. Alice, please can I have that name again? Violet. There we go. Thank you. So Violet, I just couldn't get your name across, but I've got it now. It is a beautiful name, just as the flowers are so beautiful. And you're wondering if Mom will let the little elephant drink now that she's had her fill. Yes, of course. But the little one seems to be preoccupied now and sucking up the muddy water on the left-hand side, and probably preferring it that way because it has the whole hole to itself. So if it falls in, it's not going to get reprimanded for ruining Mom's hard work, and it can also spend as much time as it wants there. But eventually, in a few years' time, the elephant will be able to dig its own little holes. But I do see the calves, the younger elephants, normally going to holes that have already been sort of partially dug out last time and maybe been filled up with a bit of sand. And then they start there. And it's really the larger elephants that will dig these massive holes. They're, of course, again, more experienced. They've got bigger feet. They can probably dig a bigger hole and at twice the speed of a young elephant. But they can consume massive quantities of water every single day. Now, Francis, you're wondering if they're digging holes in the drainage line because they're far from the pans. No, Francis, they've actually chosen, that's the correct word. They've chosen to come here specifically. And it's just because the water in the pan, it's old now. It's been sitting there for a few weeks with no new rain coming in to sort of freshen up the water, if you will. Whereas the water underneath the ground is always lovely and clean, and elephants only like to drink clean water. They will obviously drink muddy water if there's nothing else available. But if they have got a choice, they'll come here all the time. And I promise you, if we start driving these drainage systems all the time, eventually we'll bump into elephants just as we did. And we'll see them down here. But normally first thing in the morning and then later in the afternoons they'll have a drink. But you'll still see them going to those big pans because those pans have got great mud. And they need that muddy sort of substance rather than the sand. The sand doesn't stick to their body very well, even when it is wet. But the mud at the dams is great for covering their bodies and helping them keep nice and cool. So they will still be going there, but for other reasons, not necessarily to drink. But what a lovely, relaxed female. She's not big. I don't think she's very old either. Wow. Beautiful girl, and I hope you come even closer because it would be nice to have a really close-up personal experience with you. She might walk right past. She's got plenty of space too. Now, Geeky Beth, one of our regular viewers, you're wondering how deep can an elephant dig down? I'm not sure. I suppose as deep as they need to in order to get the water, and what would sort of prevent them from going sort of too deep would be the length of their trunks, I suppose. So as long as their trunks can reach down and get the water out, they will. We saw that little elephant went down on its knees earlier. The adults will do exactly the same if they need to dig. So they can actually go quite deep. So I reckon they could probably go about 2 meters, if not even deeper, down into the soil. They might just have to get down into their haunches to reach a bit more. And you see there's quite a bit of muddy water that is now filled up there, so she keeps sucking it out again and spraying it away. Are you going to help your little one out now? Or are you just going to come right up to us? It's a lovely, lovely, lovely morning. Maybe Mom's going to help this little one out now and say, let me squirt some of this horrible stuff out for you. But it's turning out to be a day filled with elephants. Jamie and Brent had elephants in the Mara. Ali had elephants earlier. We've got them now. But Ali's back on the money again with these big animals. Let's go and have a look at her herd.
We have found the king of the termite mound. So we were discussing termite mounds earlier and just how incredible they are. And look at this one. There's an elephant standing on it and the termite mound hasn't broken yet. So it just proves just how sturdy they are. Oh, but the king is proving to be shy. So let's just go down from our spot, see if maybe we can see one. There were some little ones making all sorts of noises and charging vehicles and just being quite funny. So I'm hoping maybe it'll come around from where it was, because the light is starting to turn very, very beautiful. Hello guys. All of them are down here. You see, I love when they start stretching their trunks just to get to the upper leaves of a tree. There we go. It's quite interesting. I'm sure if you go online, you'll see that there are some photos of some elephants that have figured out how to, number one, stretch themselves the outmost so that they can reach the top of the trees, but also there are a few that have learned to stand on their back legs and just be able to get to the seed pods of the anna trees, or a species of acacia, and that's what they eat throughout the season. So I wonder why our ones here haven't done it. Likely it's because they have food that's more readily available to them throughout the year, so they haven't had to get too creative on how to get to all of the different food sources and the seed pods. Hello. You see just how quickly he manages to pull down the branch. So I think they've got to create some tension, because the trees are still, or the trunk of the trees and the branches are flexible. So it's not easy. You've got to either pull really hard or create some tension to be able to take them from where they stand. Seems to be quite a big herd. There are lots of them around, and the more we stick around, the more we've seen some of them cross by. I think that little one though is hiding behind the mound, so we're just going to wait a little while, because we've got another one not too far from where we are, just feeding on some of the branches of this tree. You see he's just hiding away. Maybe he's going to come and cross the road too. Well, she's going to cross the road. Hello. It's always funny the way that they cross roads, because they've got to come down, and it's just like such an effort. So they come down and then whoop, they go all the way up. Let's see, maybe we can have a closer look. They were very vocal, these Ellies. I think we're not too far from where Taylor was with the herd that she found that was digging for water. So I wonder if they don't all know each other and they've just decided to split up for a little while. So we've got a big female in the back and some youngsters still around there. Could also be that these two herds are completely unrelated, and that these ones are slowly actually making our way to the Molawati, and maybe they'll start digging up like the ones Taylor had were just doing. Elephants are quite funny creatures when it comes to water, so you'll see them placidly eating here, but they won't just go and drink any water. A lot of the times they don't like stagnant water, so when it's starting to turn greenish, they don't like it all too much, so they prefer to dig just so that they can get onto the fresh water that's underneath the ground. We're going to see if these elephants manage to make their way down to the Molawati, but in the meantime, let's go back to Taylor, whose elephants are still drinking.
They are very thirsty today, Ali. I'm also starting to get thirsty, but I'm craving a cup of coffee. Now, our dear mom, she's, like I said, she's moved off into the other hole now, and she's with the little one, but she keeps spraying the young elephant in the face. So have a look at what that little elephant looks like. Its face is completely covered in sand. So you can see no mud. Like I was saying, it's not the greatest stuff to cover yourself in if you're feeling a little bit on the hot side, or if you want to get those parasites that are feeding on you all suffocated and eventually scrape them off. Sand is not the one that you want to use. But this is actually just such a beautiful sighting, and what I want to do is I want you all to turn your volume up so you can hear the sounds of these elephants drinking. So I'm just going to sit quietly for a moment. Isn't that so cool? I love to hear that. And the look, 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 look that you always get from the elephants when they're drinking. And that's such a peaceful sighting. everybody, besides the little ones, screeching every now and then, complaining, the adults are very relaxed and very, very happy. And all the birds are actually just starting to chirp now because it's the first time that the sun is actually shining out on us and actually keeping us nice and warm now. The temperature is definitely starting to change. Like we've said every other day, that the elephants always come down and feed along these drainage systems during the heat of the day. It's much cooler, and they can also get fresh water whenever they want, and lots of nice palatable vegetation. Now, Geeky Beth, you're wondering what the normal body temperature of an elephant is. It's not wrong, girl. What gave you a fright? When he gave her a fright, she all of a sudden turned. And I should just check, like as if to say someone was trying to steal her water. She just checked the other puddle. I'm not actually sure, but my head is saying maybe somewhere around 36 degrees, maybe a little bit higher, maybe between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius. But if any of you can maybe give me a hand, I don't have my mammal behavior book with me today, and that would give me the temperature, the body temperature of an elephant. Maybe you can have a little search on the World Wide Web, or perhaps you already know this answer, hashtag Safari Live, and you can tell me what the temperature of an elephant's body is. I don't think it would be too far off from ours, but we'll have to just wait and see when we get some answers. She's drank quite a few liters already this morning, this girl. I mean, she's not getting huge trunkfuls like they normally would, as if they were at a dam. Now, Arla Moore, you've said that this elephant looks so content. She is. She's in her absolute element. It's not a breath of wind, so she can hear everything that's around her. It's not too hot just yet. They're having a drink of lovely, cool, fresh water. It's perfect. And this is how we want elephants to be. We want them to be so relaxed around us that they just carry on with their normal activities. And that's exactly what they're doing this morning. I mean, we've had a couple of very short elephant sightings over the last few days, but they haven't been like this. The elephants have always been sort of off and moving into thickets, down into drainage lines where we can't get to them. So this is the first time I've had, I think since I've been back at work, to actually sit being surrounded by elephants and them sort of not racing off to their next destination. So it really, really is nice just to sit with them. And the presence, the sort of the tranquility that surrounds this herd is definitely catching onto myself and Senzo. I just all of a sudden feel very, very peaceful. Now, Lara, you said that their body temperature is 97 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that now in degrees Celsius? Oh, maybe more. That's in the 40. Oh, 35.9. Okay. I was completely wrong there. Okay, so 35.9. Thank you very much. Okay. So a little bit cooler than us, but not too far off anyway. And the elephants have got good news for you. They're actually all feeding out in our direction, which is quite nice. Come, elephants, come to me. Surround me, but be happy and surround me. Don't come over here and be naughty, because I'm in thick sand and I don't want to have to try and get away from angry elephants. Ah, look at these two little ones coming to play on the edge of the bank now. They've had their drinks. Both of them have got wet faces and wet trunks. Look how they're greeting. Hello. There we go. So that's nice. So they're obviously learning from the adult elephants. Normally when you get two different herds meeting through, they will greet each other, or when a bull comes in. And that's exactly what they're doing. Greeting with their trunks, wrapping them around each other. And now, I think that they're hydrated. We might see a couple of these older elephants playing about, pushing and shove each other around, which will be very nice to see. We've got someone coming over to investigate. Where are you going? You look like a little girl, though. Now, elephants at this age, I always say females can be the naughtiest. They're so inquisitive. And I wonder if she's going to come over and give us a little bit of trouble. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, I'm just going to keep watching the other herd. I'm putting eye drops in my eyes at the moment in case you're wondering what I'm doing, so I just need to quickly do that. The allergies that I'm experiencing this morning are great. They've now made my eyes itchy, so I don't know what it is that all of a sudden has flared those up, but I'm okay. I'll survive. Yes, young lady, I can see you sneaking over here. You're very cheeky. I'm watching you. Look, oh, look at this, Senzo. Is it how this female's gone over? No, it's our big cow that we've been watching. See how she's got her ears flared out, she's got her head slightly tilted. She's sort of got the same attitude that I have towards this young cow. It's like she's come over to cause trouble. No, and that's exactly what she's doing. Look at her, look at this. I knew it. You, young ladies of this age, always give me trouble. Why? It's not just you, but every other elephant that I've seen that must be between about 8 and 12 years old are always the rudest. I don't know if it's maybe like how young ladies are when they're about 16 years old, the equivalent to a human. They can be quite temperamental. I know I was temperamental, so I'll just speak for myself. And I wasn't necessarily pleasant all the time. But young lady, that's no way to treat me. I've just been sitting here so quietly and chatting to perhaps your aunt, and we've been having great conversations. And I saw that she also was not very happy with the way that you approached this situation. So I've got her on my side. Just remember that when you make your next move. Now she's pretending. She's like, oh, whatever, I just came over to get some grass. I'm basically eye level with an elephant. Actually, she's a little bit higher up on this little sandbank. It's really quite cool. How nice is that? And I wish what she would do is she'd stretch her trunk out straight towards us to smell us, because that would be a beautiful angle. Now, I obviously don't want to move at all now, because I know what's going to happen. As soon as I turn the car on, this elephant is going to get cross. Now, City Girl, you're wondering, how do we know when an elephant feels we are a threat? Just by their body language. Okay, so this is perfect. This elephant obviously understands English. That head shake that you just saw now, that is normally a sign to say, I'm a little bit unhappy with you, but I'm not going to react to her. Yes, go away. You're being very silly. She's kicking sand around. She's got her head raised. Look at her. Look at her, how she's behaving. That's unacceptable. So now, if this was a big elephant cow, City Girl, my behavior would be completely different. I'd be moving out of the sighting. But because we've done absolutely nothing wrong, and we've had an adult cow, hello girl, right next to us, which is what's happening right now. I'm very close. Hello girl. Yes, you can see she's not reacting to us at all. We're sitting here. They are being very calm. I know. Can you believe it? How mean she's being to me. And we're just sitting here and I'm saying the nicest things about you and your family. And she's giving me these gears. Please, can you sort her out for me? Because I can't really get out the car and chase her away, and because then I'm going to upset all of you. Obviously, I'm not going to get out the car and chase an elephant away. That would be a very silly thing to do, and it would also wreck the relationship that we've developed with these animals while we're in the car. But I'm so glad, though, that the behavior of this adult female is exactly how I'm feeling sort of towards that other young girl. But she's settling down now. So, sorry, City Girl. So basically, they flare their ears. They'll sometimes kick sand. They'll trumpet. That's normally a threat to display. And the fact that these guys are drinking and feeding means that they are very relaxed with my presence, barring a very hormonal young female, but we'll let her go. Ali seems to have got a better view of her herd of elephants. They're also very relaxed around her. Let's go back and take another look.
Look at this beautiful setting we've got here. We've got all of these tree trunks that are going onto the side, and it almost create like a perfect arch for this little bull that's all the way in the distance. I think the herd that Taylor managed to find is quite large. We are pretty much, I would say, on the opposite end of where the herd is, and we've just seen many elephants go past, a lot of females with youngsters, and I would say we're looking possibly at just about 50 of them, maybe even more. I'm not too sure how many of them Taylor had further down the Malawati. But over here, we're looking at a young bull who's starting to try his luck at independence. Normally, when they are about maybe 10, 12, are you leaving now? 10, 12 years of age, then they start lagging behind the main herd. He's been happily drinking away for about maybe 10 minutes. while the rest of the herd has carried on going down the Molawati, probably towards Twin Dams and that area. And we can hear a lot of them in the distance. Normally when lots of elephants are together, and if they are groups that they don't know each other, sometimes the females start getting irritated with the youngsters, or the younger males are not behaving, so there's a lot of trumpeting and, you know, rumbling, and everything's moving around. But what we saw now is actually a very important start of the process of how a male elephant becomes independent. So the rest of the herd has gone off, and he's just staying here, and it's almost like, no, I'm big enough, I can drink water by myself while all of you just go that way. So it's not a process in some other groups that, you know, they will be actively pushed away and be like, you, off you go. But it's also the male elephants will start lagging behind the main herd until eventually it's more of a transition, as that gap starts getting bigger and bigger, and the females start, you know, getting a bit more annoyed if they're being a bit naughty, and they start pushing them away, and it's almost like they're like, fine, we also don't want to be with you guys, we want to explore our own thing and be independent. We're gonna go around Twin Dam, see if perhaps that's where the elephants are going, but let's go back to Taylor, and it seems like, you know, the cow that was giving her a bit of trouble has now calmed down.
She is. Look at her again, Senzel. Look, we're going to get this naughty bird. Don't you throw that piece of grass at us. I will not stand for that behavior. Look at her. Got her ears raised. Now you can of course just see the aerial of the car, but I don't want to move because I don't want to startle these elephants, but we'll watch her. Why are you being so silly? Come over here and be nice, because you're going to rub off on the other young cows, and they're going to think that they're able to do the same thing around the vehicle. Yeah, I'm happy that she's eating, but like I said, she's just cheeky. She doesn't really know what she's doing, or why she's probably raging, filled with hormones at the moment. But she'll be okay. So she's sort of taking her frustrations out on us. And the best thing is that we're not really giving her a reaction at all. But like I said, I've got myself into a situation where I can't really react. If she does come close, I won't shout at her, because that negative connotation will then be picked up by the other elephants, and they might come and investigate and go, why are you getting angry? And of course, they're very protective over their own kind. And there's an entire herd. There must be about 20 or 30 of them all over here. But there she goes. So she stopped giving us trouble now. But here come the rest of the herd. They're all just starting to come through now. There's actually lots and lots of little ones just to the left. There they all are. Hi, little baby. Our little one keeps coming closer and closer too. You're just still trying to get water. I think it's had more sand than it has had water. I don't know whether that's because of mom covering it in sand, or if it's just struggling itself. Now, B-Mac, as we sit here watching our darling little elephant, you're wondering if calves of this age will suck their trunks just as little humans suck their thumbs. You actually see that happening quite often, where elephants just put their trunks in their mouths. Look at this one going over, trying to greet its friend. Hello, long friend. So I think so. But whether it's been proven or not, I'm not too certain. But you definitely see them with their trunks and their mouths like that. So I'm sure it does help comfort them at some point. Now, see, this is another thing. These little ones here are going to push and shove each other. Mom elephant, who's been drinking and digging holes next to the car, is going to get annoyed with them, because I bet that they're going to go stumbling down. Oh, here comes a third contender. And then that little elephant is going to fall in a hole, and it's going to trumpet it, and it's going to cause a whole big scene. And the adult elephant is going to have to reprimand all of them. Look here, the big brother's coming in saying, hey, you watch out. I've got a little brother over here, and don't you dare come too close. Otherwise, my mom's going to show you. I reckon that's probably what that elephant is saying. Whether it is, I'm not sure. I just like to make up, of course, these little voices and pretend like I know exactly what the animals are saying. But there, see, Mom's come in. Mom said, move. Stop this nonsense now. And see how she didn't reprimand her own calf? She reprimanded the three sort of instigators that have come through here trying to cause trouble. Good girl, you tell them who's boss. I love this elephant. I think if I was a mom, this is the type of elephant that I would be like. I'd be like, oh, quite tolerant. Throwing water and mud all over my children. Oh, look at this train. This is so funny. These three are now pushing each other around, but at one point they were all in a line together. You had the little elephant on the left pushing the one in the middle, and the one on the right pushing back at the one in the middle. It was quite humorous. And they look like troublemakers, those three. I think that they're going to get up to no good throughout the day and just annoy everybody in the herd. But it is so lovely here. This has really made my morning. I was a little bit saddened, of course, by the fact that we hadn't really been seeing too many animals. And I know that this is normal and this is what happens out on safari, but I thought, come on, just give me a little break. And well, a break I definitely got, in the form of an entire herd of elephants, and probably the best elephant sighting I've had since we've been back at work. So that's nice. I wish we could do this every single day, being able to sit and just watch and observe as the animals go about their daily activities. Finally, our cow has moved off. She's had enough. Look at that. She said, right, I'm done. Now I can come and call. Look at, oh my goodness. Now they're going to come and cause trouble again. Careful. That mom's going to come over and sort you out. She's very protective over his hole of water, saying, no, it's mine. You can't have any. Okay, I'll just drink from this one then. That's fine. And now they're behaving again. You've got a very naughty look in your eye, mister. Yes, I'm talking about you, the elephant on the right. Look at that, sidestepping. Just trying to shove the other one out of the way. Careful, you're going to fall into those holes. Oh, they're getting excited. That is a very clever technique, though, to just sort of bounce your buddy out of the way with your body to get to the water. That's rude. That's what we call bullying. And that is exactly why young elephants get kicked out of the herd, is because this behavior starts like this, and eventually they start doing that to elephants much younger than them. Mom won't tolerate that nonsense anymore, and then they get shoved out. But how cool was that? But we're going to go across now to Kenya. Jamie has got some vultures sitting on the hippo carcass.
We are back once again with our hippo carcass in the mud, and as you can see, these are not the animals that were here earlier with us, feeding off the hippo carcass. I don't know where our hyenas have gone, but they have been replaced by 3 different species of vulture. Sitting on top of the hippo carcass, king of the castle for now, so to speak, is a white-backed vulture, the most common vulture species that we see out here, apparently. So the 3 species here, the lappet-faced vultures, and just look at them. They are absolutely massive when you compare them to the white-backed vultures with their bright red heads. Actually quite striking birds. I wouldn't say they're beautiful, but with their black and white, no, they're definitely not beautiful. They are striking. Even that might be a little bit of a stretch. And Brent thinks or hopes that perhaps the vultures will bring in the lions. And now we've got the collection of birds here. REB, you want to know if vultures are picky when it comes to muddy carcasses. They don't like to get their feet muddy, and in fact, half of the entertainment of the sighting has been watching them all scrabble for a position on the carcass without having to stand in the mud. And a couple of them have slipped and... there we go. A couple of them have slipped and fallen in a few times, and they're not very happy about the whole situation. You can see them shaking their feet in a frustrated way before settling in to feed once again, and they're screeching away at each other. Right, and then our 3rd species, Dave, if we can just go back to the ones on the termite mound. Thank you, and the one on the left. There we go. There's our 3rd species, a Ruppel's griffin, the highest recorded flying bird, flying up at heights of up to 32,000 feet. They've been recorded to fly. Pretty birds. Well, I mean pretty feathers, not pretty birds. Nobody's ever going to call vultures pretty. And they are definitely the more dominant ones over the white-backed. And before the lappet-faced arrived, the Ruppel's times. And I think over the course of the next day or so, or possibly even longer, this hippo carcass is going to bring us some truly extraordinary scenes. The hyenas might come back, they might try and chase the vultures away, the lions might come in, which might in turn bring them into conflict with the hyenas. So who knows how the situation is going to play out. I know I'm excited. I'm sure you all are as well. You can hear them screeching away with their loud voices. There's horrible screeches. Alright, on that note, it is time for us to all say goodbye and thank you very quickly. So thank you to Dave. Thank you, Dave, for your wonderful camera work. Thank you to our Djuma crew. We have missed you all. We do miss you all. Thank you to Alice and thank you to Chantel and, of course, most importantly, thank you to all of you. We will catch up with you again.